Hello and welcome back. I'm the Big Shot Critic, and today it's the first State of Movies address, plus my annual recap and collection update. My fellow movie lovers, we have passed through another challenging year. We've had some diamonds in the rough, like Top Gun Maverick, but overall it's been another terrible year for movies. The culture war rages on. I haven't spent much time on this channel covering this calculated cultural catastrophe, and I will only cover it briefly here. You like that? Calculated cultural catastrophe? Came up with that myself. Politicians like to use alliteration. Makes them memorable. Anyway, the culture war rages on. But the biggest perpetrators this year were on TV, not on the big screen. I'm looking at you, Obi-Wan, and especially at you, Rings of Power. Dishonorable mention goes to She-Hulk, Willow, and The Witcher Blood Origin. Star Trek continues to be the biggest tragedy for me. I don't know what new seasons or new shows came out in 2022. I just know to stay away from all Star Trek since 2017. I haven't seen any of the new Marvel movies this year. I haven't seen 1 minute of the new TV shows I just mentioned. I've only seen about 4 or 5, maybe 6 new movies from 2022. Does this make me unqualified to offer comment? No. This makes me intelligent. This makes me someone who values his time. And I recommend you all do the same. While I expect the culture war to rage on, and maybe even get worse in some ways, the news is not all bad. 2022 might even come to be considered the turn of the tide. The highlight has been the fan reaction to Rings of Power. The Lord of the Rings fans pulled a Captain Picard from Star Trek First Contact.
They invade our space, and we fall back. They assimilate entire worlds, and we fall back. Not again. The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther. And I will make them pay for what they've done.
And the fans have made them pay. Amazon will never even admit that they lost money on Rings of Power, let alone how much. But if you take into account the budget, the rumored viewership numbers, and the marketing budget, which includes many, many shills and sympathetic articles from the press, you're looking at well over $1 billion lost by Amazon. And to everyone who took part in making Amazon pay, whether you were making great videos about it like Nerdrotic, or merely liking the hilarious comments left by fans trolling Amazon, to all of you I say,
My friends. You bow to no one.
and the good news goes on. Hollywood lost $542 billion in market value in 2022. That's just over 40% of the Dow Jones Media Titans Index, up in smoke in 1 year. Seriously though, Hollywood lost 40% of its market value in 1 year. 40% in 1 year.
Wir stehen vor dem Sieg.
This is fantastic news. And Disney can swap CEOs all they want. That won't help. Only swapping company policy will do that. And Disney, by the way, led the charge, losing $123 billion in market value in 2022. That's right, just over 44%. The House of Mouse is half dead in 2022, thanks to the heroes who didn't take their kids to woke movies and canceled their Disney Plus subscriptions. To all of you, I applaud you. Well done. And the last bit of good news is Top Gun Maverick, the gift that kept on giving for months and months. Every dollar it made was a thorn in the side of woke Hollywood, and it made a lot of them. Almost $1.5 billion by the end of its theatrical run. And the mainstream media came up with every reason imaginable to explain its success. Every reason except the real reason. It wasn't woke. Top Gun Maverick was a real stand-up and cheer kind of movie. A movie that makes you feel good. Wokeness can't make you feel good. It's against the woke code. Wokeness is all about feeling angry at perceived injustice. I made a whole video about that last year. You should check it out. So while the movies that were released in 2022 were mostly garbage, again, the news is not all bad. Get Woke, Go Broke was felt on a colossal scale, and the movie that flies in the face of woke Hollywood was the biggest smash hit runaway success of the decade. This concludes the first ever State of Movies address, and now it's time to tell you a little bit about my year personally. I watched 212 movies in 2022, that's down a little bit from 2021. 3 were in theaters, that's right, I only saw 3 in theaters. That was American Underdog, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and Top Gun Maverick. 50 of the movies that I watched were on DVD, 6 were on VHS, 76 were streamed, 77 were on Blu-ray. Now, this was not planned. I didn't tally up before the end of the year to put Blu-ray just ahead of streaming. You all know I support physical media. I didn't do this on purpose. It just so happened that 76 were streamed and 77 were on Blu-ray. 35 were from the library. I went a bit library crazy this year, twice actually. Libraries are a great place to check out movies that you missed, movies that passed you by, movies that you always wanted to check out but never quite got around to. 35 were from the library. 87 I had never seen before. That's 41%. So I was a little more adventurous than in 2021. And 67 of them I owned at the time that I watched them. That's 32%, about a third, about the same as 2021. Some of the highlights, I saw a bunch of new Kurosawa movies that I had never seen before from the library. So now I've seen The Hidden Fortress, Seven Samurai, Ikiru, Rashomon, Yojimbo, Sanjuro, Throne of Blood, Dreams, Kagemusha, and The Bad Sleep Well. That was the last one. I will say this, the final segment in the movie Dreams is the most beautiful, the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen put to film. I saw my first Soviet movie this year. It was Stalker. That was very strange, but pretty interesting. I watched Dr. Zhivago for the first time, and here's a tip. Don't ever watch Dr. Zhivago when it's cold outside and you're sick, because it's a very depressing movie, and it looks very, very cold. I saw 10,000 BC for the first time, which also has Omar Sharif, actually. I saw Goonies for the first time all the way through, and I thought it was dreadful. 2 new Kenneth Branagh movies. I saw Belfast and Death on the Nile. I thought Belfast was way better. I thought Death on the Nile was terrible. One of the ones I picked up from the library was Seven Brides for Seven Brothers, because I have a close friend who really likes that movie, and it was hilarious. I finally saw Zack Snyder's Justice League last year, picked that one up from the library. I expected it to be a little bit better than the regular Justice League. It was miles above the original Justice League. And the last one of note was Aguirre, The Wrath of God, a Werner Herzog movie from the 70s about a conquistador who was apparently a psychopath. And Werner Herzog is also kind of a psychopath. Now, my favorite part. Collection update. First one, American Underdog. Saw this one in theaters, liked it a lot. The Batman. I did not see this one in theaters, but I did check it out from the library, and I liked it a lot. I'm a big fan of Matt Reeves, particularly Dawn and War for the Apes. Next up is Batman Begins. Now this comes with a little story. My friend Randy was getting rid of a bunch of physical copies of movies. He wants to go fully digital as a collector. I told him that was a bad idea. He said, my loss is your gain. So okay, I inherited several movies from him. This is the first from the Randy collection. The Dark Knight Rises, also from the Randy collection. Then Beauty and the Beast, also from the Randy collection. And this one was probably my favorite because I watched this for the first time last year. First time since the 90s. And I loved it. Hugely impressed. Giving Aladdin a run for its money as my favorite Disney movie. And I thought, I need to own this movie. Then shows up in a box from Randy. So, thanks Randy. Next up is the digital only one, Belfast. I had seen it, I had liked it, and I had points with Universal and their redemption program for movies, so I went ahead and got that. Next up, Big Hero 6. I had this on digital already, but this comes from the Randy collection, and now I have the physical copy as well.
You buy one, you get one free. I said you buy one, you get one free.
And The Bourne Identity, a movie I always liked. Once again, Randy collection. You Only Live Twice. I've added to my James Bond collection this year, and this is one of my favorites, so I just picked it up sometime in the spring. The Man with the Golden Gun. I've been adding to my collection a lot, and this one this is the last movie purchase I made of 2022. It arrived in 2023. For Your Eyes Only. This is one of my favorite Bond movies, always has been. I remember borrowing the VHS from my cousins 2 or 3 times when I was a kid because I liked it that much. The Living Daylights. I've been picking and choosing, as you can see, for starters. This is another one of my favorites. I think it's one of the better ones. Ever After. I've always liked this movie, and I finally got it. I got this one for my birthday. Finding Dory. I haven't seen this one since theaters in 2016, but I remember I liked it a lot, and this is also from the Randy collection. Home Alone 1 and 2, classic movies, also from the Randy collection. And I watched them both last year. Thor. This one was free from Disney Movie Insiders. I had enough points and I redeemed them. Thor. He's got a hammer. Captain America: The First Avenger. This was if you remember at the end of my last collection video, at the beginning of 2022, I mentioned that one was already on the way for the next video. This was it. And in fact, as of right now, there are 3 that are already on their way, but those will be for next year. Guardians of the Galaxy. This is also from the Randy collection.
Trust me, it's free fitting.
Spider-Man: No Way Home. Just like everyone else, I liked this movie a lot, and I bought it. Huge fan of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, so I liked it a lot. Next up is another digital-only one, also from Universal. I had enough points, and this one showed up. Kicking and Screaming, the Will Ferrell movie from 2005. I had never seen it, and I went ahead and redeemed it anyway. Normally I have a policy where I don't ever buy, or in this case, acquire a movie that I have not seen. And this reminded me why I have that rule, because I did redeem it without seeing it, and I watched it. I thought it was awful. Next up, Man of Steel. This is also from the Randy collection. Monsters University, also from the Randy collection. Pacific Rim, also from the Randy collection, but this one was actually still wrapped. Thanks, Randy.
I'll give you another one, absolutely free.
The Prestige, one I've always thought about picking up, also from the Randy collection. The only thing wrong with this movie is the song in the credits. Almost ruins the whole movie. Other than that, the movie's perfect. Top Gun Maverick, easily the best movie of 2022. Avatar, the complete series on Blu-ray. Now we're in the TV section. Some friends and I got together week to week, and we watched Avatar. And of course, during that, I was like, well, I want it. It was on the shelf at Best Buy. It wasn't very pricey either. Avatar. Star Trek Deep Space Nine Season 1. Now, sometime in 2022, all the Star Trek shows started leaving all the streaming services except for Paramount Plus, of course, which is going to be their new home. I don't want to subscribe to Paramount Plus. That would be supporting New Trek, which is terrible. So I started down the very dark path of collecting them on DVD. Star Trek Deep Space Nine Season 2. This one was a gift from my sister for my birthday. So that's all of them. I've been collecting a little more Star Trek, a little more James Bond, a little more of everything else, thanks to Randy. Thanks, Randy. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy this. These are my favorite videos to make, the collection updates. I love sharing this stuff with you guys. So thanks for watching. Bye-bye.